What's going on, wealth winners? I am George, and I help people take control of their finances so they can build wealth and live a priceless life. If you guys are into personal finance and wealth building, make sure that you leave a like on this video and subscribe for more content like this. Also, make sure that you check out the links in the description, where I will have links to all the different products and things that I talk about in this video and more. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably noticed that I talk a lot about building wealth and credit. Primarily that's because a lot of my audience right now is really taking a hard look at their credit, taking a hard look at the debts that they have, and are trying to formulate a plan to pay off that debt. And the best way, in my opinion, to create an actionable debt payoff plan is to have a written zero-based budget that you keep track of every single day. So not a lot of people ask me this question, but if hypothetically somebody did ask me, George, what are you doing at the end of every month or at the beginning of the month? Today is August the 11th, but if you would have talked to me July the 31st or August the 1st, I would have probably been prioritizing or setting some time on my calendar to go over what my budget would be for the month of August. So I thought I would go ahead and create a couple of videos about budgeting specifically. But in this video, I wanted to talk about two tools that I have used in the past couple of years that have helped me master my money and build wealth. But prior to using either of these tools, I was using things like Excel, I was using mint.com, but there were two really big problems with that. For one, Excel didn't integrate to any of my bank accounts, so it was very much me manually having to put in all of my different transactions and manually having to keep track of that. That became very difficult for me to do and scale. It became a lot more difficult to manage my own transactions as well as my wife's transactions. So I knew I needed a solution to fix that. So like many people, I went online, did some research, and found Mint. So I still use Mint to this day to go over kind of what I've done in the past. And that's really important that I call that out, because Mint is a really great tool for keeping track of all of your different accounts, checking, saving, investing accounts. And it gives you a really good breakdown of how you spend your money every single month. The problem is it's very backward looking, so it's sort of a rear view mirror. And what I mean by that is by the time you look at Mint, you've already spent that money and it's just telling you how you spend it. It's not really a tool designed to help you plan forward looking. And as I mentioned before, I have used two different budgeting tools in the past, and I want to go over both of them. And that is EveryDollar and You Need a Budget, or better known as YNAB. In this video, I plan to go over both of these tools, talk about all of the things that I really like about them and the things that I don't like. And at the end of the video, I'm going to have a verdict about which of the tools is best for which type of people. So let's go ahead and get into it. So let's start with EveryDollar. EveryDollar is a zero-based budgeting tool by Ramsey Solutions. And yes, Ramsey Solutions is a company that's owned by Dave Ramsey. If you're not familiar with Dave Ramsey, I would highly recommend that you check out his podcast and his YouTube videos. I also have two videos of my own about Dave Ramsey and his plan. And I go over some of the things that I really like and think is great advice from Dave Ramsey, and some of the advice that in my opinion is not the best advice. So if you want to check that out, check out the cards above. So what is a zero-based budgeting tool? It's a tool aimed to help you assign every dollar a mission. So the idea is that even before the month begins, you want to anticipate the income that you're going to bring in and what you're going to assign that money to do. So for instance, of course, you need to pay for your housing, your utilities, your transportation, but you also might be in credit card debt or have a savings goal, and you might want to allocate some of that money towards those two things. A zero-based budgeting tool is aimed to make every dollar have a mission and a name. And of course, this being a Dave Ramsey tool, it is aimed at people that are currently going through the Dave Ramsey baby step plan, which my wife and I use to get ourselves out of debt. So of course, this was exactly how we were introduced to the tool and why we started using it. The tool is absolutely free if you want to do all of your transactions manually. But as I mentioned before, that was already a struggle for me to take care of on my own, so I wanted to go ahead and pay for the subscription in order to get the automatic transaction features. So the pricing has gone up since I've tried it in the past. It's about $130 a year. It allows you to do those automatic bank transactions. It gives you custom reports, and now it also gives you access to the Ramsey Plus network, which is essentially the Financial Peace University courses. I think this is a really good value, especially for that first year. And if you're trying to get a plan together to get out of debt, this is by far the best way to do it. You also get access to an app called the Baby Step Tracker, but to me, I haven't used it and I don't really see the reason for it. It just keeps track of where you are in the baby steps, but honestly, you could keep track of that yourself. It also comes with a 15-day free trial, so if you're skeptical about it or want to try it first, you can do that. A downside to this is that there's no monthly payment. You actually have to pay the full $130 every single year. The great thing about this app is that it is incredibly simple. The interface is very easy. Every time you have a transaction come in, it swoops into the bottom and all you got to do is drag and drop it into your individual categories. Those categories you set up completely on your own. You have your standard categories like your rent, utilities. You may also have categories for restaurants, going out to eat, groceries, credit card payments, car payments, and things like that. I really can't say enough about EveryDollar. It is an app that my wife and I used when we were getting out of debt. There is an iPhone app as well as an awesome and very consistent web interface as well. It makes it incredibly easy for you to take a look at your reports and also take a look at where you are in terms of your category spending in real time. So for example, if you're already 2 weeks into the month and you have 2 more weeks to go, but you have already spent 70% of your budget on restaurants, you know that for the next 2 weeks, you got to watch out on your restaurant budget and cut back in order to stay within that budget. There are a couple of downsides to EveryDollar, which I'm going to talk about now. EveryDollar does not carry over any unspent money. So let's just say that you had an entertainment budget where you had $100. And let's just say that this particular month you didn't spend any of that money. Well, a great feature would be is that if you didn't spend that money, for it to carry over to the next month. Unfortunately, this tool doesn't do that natively. You can kind of hack your way around it by using funds, but technically entertainment isn't really a fund, it's really more of a category. It also does not allow you to create multiple budgets. So I own my own business, my wife owns her own business, and it really helps us have a budget for the businesses as well. If you wanted to do that with EveryDollar, you would have to open up another account. It also doesn't remember what you've categorized transactions in the past. So let's say you have a utility bill that always comes in from your electricity company. Every single month, you are going to have to drag and drop that into the electricity or utilities category. Unfortunately, the tool does not remember what you've done in the past and does not auto-categorize it for you. To me, this seems like a very easy feature to implement, and I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't been done already. Despite all of those things, I really do believe that EveryDollar has a place in the market. If you are somebody who's looking for a very simple and easy to use tool with no frills or any extra nerd knobs, then this might be the tool for you. Sure, you're not going to be able to do some of these advanced features that other tools offer, but if those kind of things disincentivize you or scare you from even using the tool to begin with, EveryDollar might be a great place to start. So I thought instead of just telling you guys about the product, I'd go ahead and show you the product as well. The intention here is not to show you all the bells and whistles of EveryDollar, but just to kind of give you an idea of how the interface looks like and how it works. So let's get into it. All right, so when you log into EveryDollar, this is the basic interface. You can see that I'm already in August of 2020. You can see that from here, you can go ahead and add your different accounts. EveryDollar has recently allowed you to be able to also add your credit cards, your savings accounts, your checking account, and everything. You also can manage your account as well using the settings. And from here, I actually found out that there is a way to go ahead and do a monthly plan, but you're only allowed to do it after you try to cancel the Pro subscription. So if you want to do it for $13 a month, you can do it by purchasing the free trial and then reverting back to the monthly payment. So that's pretty interesting. But this is the main dashboard here. And what you do from here is you go and start planning for budgeting. And this is a demo account. As you can see, it's trying to sell you the Ramsey Plus solution. This is a demo account that I put together. So it has our paycheck. So you put your income throughout the month. So let's just say I get paid twice a week. My wife gets paid twice a week. And in total, we get paid $5,000. If I had another paycheck come in, let's just call it from Google, and that was, let's just say, ad revenue, and it was $500. You would notice that I have $500 left to budget. You see? So in this particular budget, you'll see that I have a tithe of $500. I'm not putting anything towards my emergency, but I have my mortgage at $1,000, my water bill at $600, my cell phone $100, and so on and so forth. And you'll notice I have this spread out into a couple of different categories. I have my giving, housing, saving, transportation, food, lifestyle, insurances, and debt. So obviously in this fictitious scenario, a lot of our planned, a lot of what we're trying to do is get out of debt. So obviously here, a lot of our money is going towards paying off, in this case, a Discover credit card. But let's just say that we needed to adjust this. Let's just say our water bill was a little higher this month, or we anticipated it to be. We can make it $80, and you'll notice there's $480 left to budget. You never want there to be a budget left over. You want to give it a name. So obviously, if I'm trying to get out of debt, I just want to add the remainder of that $480 over to in this case, let's just call it the Discover card. So I'm just going to zero that out. That's $945 that I'm going to put towards the Discover card, and that is my EveryDollar budget. So that's pretty cool. Again, you can add transactions manually. So let's just say we're just doing the free trial. I'm going to go ahead and add a transaction. I'm going to say this is my electric, and it came in on this day. It's an expense, and it's electricity, and I'm going to track the expense. Boom. So you'll notice that now if I go over to electricity, there is that transaction here, electric, $80. There is $120 planned. There's $40 remaining. So that's pretty cool. You can also change whether you want to see what has been spent as opposed to what's remaining. That's completely up to you. On the right, you're going to see an overview of your planned budget. So 9% is going towards giving in this case, 25% going towards housing, 15% towards transportation, etc. And you can kind of show this however you'd like. Again, if you have the Ramsey Plus solution, these transactions, when you add your different accounts, will pop up here. So you'll have something come up here, and let's just call it $1,000 and mortgage. Let's add the expense. It's going to come up like this, and all you got to do is you got to go over to your mortgage, drag, drop it, and you'll notice there the remaining is 0, and if I go over it, you'll see that transaction. So that is a pretty cool feature. I like it. As you can see, it's extremely simple to do. You can add your accounts, add your transactions manually, or again, they'll come in automatically. And you have a couple of other things here on the side that kind of link to some other Ramsey Plus products. I'm not going to go over them here, but this is a basic overview of your budget. If you needed to add a couple of items, of course, you could add something to housing. So let's just call this the internet bill, and you can allocate a certain amount towards it. The neat thing is that it allows you to customize this however you'd like. You can add and remove groups, and that's pretty much it. So this is an overview of EveryDollar. Let's go and move on. All right, the next tool we're going to talk about is You Need a Budget, or YNAB. Full disclosure, YNAB is a tool that I personally use and I've been using for the past year. It's an awesome forward-looking zero-based budgeting app that's targeted at people that are very intentional about their budget and wants to keep meticulous track of every single account. The pricing for You Need a Budget is extremely competitive. It offers a 34-day free trial and is $12 a month or $84 a year. So the pricing is a little bit less than EveryDollar, but it doesn't come with any of Dave Ramsey's courses or Financial Peace University. The web interface on YouNeedABudget.com is extremely well done. It's a great piece of budgeting software. However, on the phone, the experience just isn't as consistent as it is on the web application. If you look at the two side by side, you'll notice that it's a very different experience when you're on the phone. To me, this isn't really a big deal because when I'm on my phone, all I'm really doing is just approving the different transactions and putting them in the different categories. But if you're looking for a tool that has great consistency, EveryDollar is probably the way to go. All of your income flows in as it deposits into your bank account. So there's no predicting your income. It's actually taking into account what you actually have to spend in real time. The income flows into a bucket that's called the to be budgeted bucket. And from there, you're able to allocate it to all of your different categories and goals. And just like EveryDollar, it allows you to be able to monitor and check where you are in each category throughout the month. All of the categories are automatically pulled in from all of your accounts, including your credit cards. And from there, you're able to categorize them. And the great thing about YouNeedABudget is that it remembers exactly what the category was, so that next month when you see that same exact bill, all you have to do is approve the categorization instead of having to categorize it manually. This is a really big feature for me because it saves me a ton of time on categorization. YouNeedABudget also does a great job of carrying over any unused budget in all the categories over to the next month. So as I mentioned before, if you had $100 left over from your entertainment budget this month, then it would carry over to the next month. YouNeedABudget also has a very great method of handling credit cards. It understands that when you make a transaction on your credit card, that transaction is going towards the budget. And because it keeps track of your balances, it knows exactly how much money that you have to allocate from your to be budgeted to making that payment to that credit card. And you can select ahead of time whether you want to do minimum payment, which I don't recommend, to pay off the entire balance, which I do recommend, or anywhere in between, assuming you're on some kind of debt payoff program as we speak. It also allows you to be able to create multiple budgets with their own types of accounts. So like I mentioned before, my wife and I have our own businesses. We're able to add our business debit cards and business credit cards onto a separate budget to keep track of that on its own. It also comes with really great reporting tools, and there's also some plugins for your web browser that allows you to expand upon these reporting tools. All of this does come at a cost. I mean, everything comes at a cost. When you have all of these features, the cost is complexity. The tool, frankly, is more difficult to use and understand. And to be honest with you, I had to spend a good maybe 30 minutes to an hour looking up YouTube videos on how to do it. Thankfully, there's a lot of great YouTube channels out there that cover exactly how to use YouNeedABudget, and I'm going to go ahead and link some of those below. But keep in mind that you can keep YNAB incredibly simple and just start adding accounts as you go and you become more familiar with the tool. It will take some time for you to get used to it, but in my opinion, all of these features are well worth that knowledge gap. So if you're somebody that's looking for a budgeting app with a ton of features that allows you to be able to meticulously plan out and see all of your different account balances, then YNAB is probably the way to go for you. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the YouNeedABudget demo. Let's go. So this is what you see when you go on to YouNeedABudget.com. And as I mentioned, you can open up multiple budgets. You can create a new budget. If you need to do a fresh start, you can go ahead and do it, change the themes, that kind of stuff. So what you're gonna see here is sort of a different default set of categories. So here, there's immediate obligations, which are, you know, your standard rent, utilities, that kind of stuff, transportation, groceries. We have our true expenses, which is pretty much like sort of like our auto maintenance, home maintenance, things that don't come as often. We have debt payments, quality of life, just for fun. I personally do this quite differently. I categorize into things like fixed expenses, guilt-free expenses, investing, savings, like that, right? This is a little bit more, I guess it's a little difficult to tell exactly what's in each group. So I would recommend modifying this the way that you like. But essentially the way that this works is you got your budget and you have this to be budgeted account up here. And so what happens here is as transactions start coming in and you get a deposit from the bank from your work or from a job that you did, it'll be put into this to be budgeted account. So right now we have 0. So you'll notice if I try even putting $1 towards this, it goes red. And this is a neat part about EveryDollar because it actually keeps track of the amount of money that you have in your accounts today. And it tells you, hey, you don't have enough money to pay this bill right now. So that's pretty neat. So let's go ahead and show you how you can add an account. So you can add an account, obviously, by clicking the Add Account button. And you can do linked. So I have a couple of accounts here that I've linked to my other budgets. I'm not going to add one of those right now, but these are the ones that allow you to automatically import the transactions. What I'm going to do is just the manual method here. And some people actually opt to do it this way. I'm going to add a checking account. I'm going to call it primary checking. And let's just say that our account balance right now is $5,000. So this is actually taking what's actually in the account balance into account. So you'll notice I have the starting balance here and it automatically categorized it as a to be budgeted category. So if we go back to the budget, now we magically have $5,000 there and we can begin budgeting. So let's just say we go through our motion here. We have $1,000 here. You notice that as soon as I did that, it says $1,000 of your money is now available for this category. It hasn't, no activity has taken place yet, and you still have $4,000 left to be budgeted. And so you go ahead and go through this entire thing. I'm gonna maybe fast forward it through here because I don't want to bore you guys through this process. But what's gonna happen is I'm gonna go and fill all this out. So what you're gonna notice is that every time I allocate something in the budgeted column for each of these things, the to be budgeted is gonna go down based on that amount. So let's just say I'm gonna zero all these out. Student loan payments, I'm gonna call this $350, and auto loan $300. We're not doing any vacation. We're dining out very little. We're not gaming, music, fun money. Let's call it $100. So here we go. This is a hypothetical budget for the month, and you're gonna notice we've gone through everything and we still have $2,165 left. If we are doing a financial peace program or trying to get out of debt, you do not want to have anything to be budgeted. What you can actually do is if you have debt to pay off or you have a goal, let's just say I want to pay off my student loans, I can go ahead and just assign all of this remainder to the student loans, and now I have $0 left to be budgeted. So that is pretty cool. But let's just say that we didn't have any debt. One of the neat things about this is, let's just say I've taken care of all of my obligations, I've met my loans, all of that stuff is good. I'm completely debt free. Well, what do I do with all this money? Well, you can go ahead and just go to the next month and you can start categorizing for next month. So you'll notice that the to be budgeted carries over, as well as the available budgets from last month, because the month prior I didn't have any activity. So I just wanted to show you guys that, just so you guys know that YNAB is able to carry over all the information from one month to the next. EveryDollar does not do that. So let's go ahead and zero out this budget and put it all towards our student loans. And let's go ahead and do a manual transaction. Let's just imagine that all of our stuff goes through our checking account. We don't have credit cards. Obviously, in a more complex sort of tutorial, I would have more accounts, but in this case, I'm just gonna run everything through checking. I'm gonna add a transaction. This will come in automatically if you set it up that way. Some people decide they wanna do it manually. I don't know why, but let's just imagine today we had the mortgage come in. Let's just call it, let's just say it's Ally Bank House. And that's gonna be for the mortgage. And that's gonna be an outflow of $1,000. An outflow essentially means that it's money that you are paying somebody. Inflow is income, outflow is expenses. And so you notice that I went ahead and did that. And you'll notice that up here, it's keeping track of what's called a cleared balance, an uncleared balance, and a working balance. And this is essentially a way for you to distinguish what has actually cleared through your bank, because sometimes it takes a couple of days over the weekend, or just certain things like transferring money takes some time. You want to be able to manually come in here and clear this transaction. That way this is all green up at the top. So you have your working balance of 4,000. When you go back to your budget, you'll notice that magically here appeared this $1,000 activity, and your available budget is now 0. So I had allocated $1,000 for this. I had a $1,000 payment. Now obviously I don't have any money left over in the mortgage budget. And that's pretty cool. Now the thing that you're gonna notice when you have these automatic transactions is you're gonna have a little number appear here, and then all you have to do is go in here, place the category, and with automatic transactions, the clearing happens automatically most of the time. I usually go in and clear things off as I go throughout the week, but keeps it pretty simple, and that is how it all works. Hopefully that was useful. Let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. So here is my verdict. If you are somebody that's just getting into personal finance and you recognize that budgeting is something that you need to learn how to do, I would highly recommend for you guys to go with EveryDollar first. And since the Financial Peace University course comes with EveryDollar, I would highly recommend for you to do that. This will give you a great baseline and a good place to start when it comes to budgeting, getting out of debt, investing, and all that kind of stuff. Now, again, in my personal opinion, there are a couple of things within that Financial Peace University that you do need to take with a grain of salt and perhaps modify. For details on that, check out the links in the cards or in the description on my thoughts on advice from Dave Ramsey. But aside from that, I really do think EveryDollar is a good starter budgeting tool. Once that first year's over, you've sort of graduated into the next level of budgeting. In my opinion, You Need a Budget is a great tool to use long term. Once you've had a good understanding of how the budget works and you've become more consistent with doing it on a day-to-day basis, then You Need a Budget is going to give you just way more flexibility and is much better for the price, in my opinion. If you're interested in either of these apps, I'm going to have links to get started in the description below. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button and bell notifications for more content like this. But until next time, have a good one, Wealth Winners. Take care.